Okay, we are live. Good morning, or should I say good evening? It's probably good evening for most of you guys, as it is quite early here in Norway, 4:30 in the morning. And as always, hopefully this works. Sometimes YouTube won't tell people that I'm doing a live stream, but it seems like it's working. Hi there, Wesley, Curtis, and Tara, and Woodsman Bushcraft. Hi there. Good to see you all. Let's give it just a few seconds while people are discovering this live stream and joining the chat. And you have to be a subscriber to the channel to join the chat, by the way. So yeah, you can thank my insomnia for this early hour live stream. Anthony is going to bed really late. Okay. Green-eyed lady. Hi there. Yes. So there goes my pension fund. Isn't it wonderful? This live stream will be in my series Unpopular Opinions. Yeah, my unpopular opinions. I have some of those. Grasslands G, Abdul Aziz, Henry from Canada, Alberta, Tara. If I don't mention your name, I am sorry, but now people are joining and the chat is moving, which is wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, if you have seen the thumbnail, you will see a familiar man there in the middle, which is Zelensky, the president in Ukraine. And he was in Norway. Maybe he's still in Norway, actually. I don't know. Maybe he's still in Norway. But he was in Norway yesterday. And he first went to shake hands with our royals, the royal family. So that's the people. That's the prince and princess, the prince and his wife there on that photo. And yeah, and then they went to meet the prime minister, and the whole thing is about Norway decided Norway, not Norway, the Norwegian government, and yeah, I'll explain. The Norwegian government decided to spend a lot on supporting Ukraine with weapons and money and everything. Now, some information, and you may not know this, but Norway is a rich country because we have high taxes. And oil. We found oil and gas in the North Sea, and that money has been put in a fund. It's a Norwegian pension fund, and it's one of the biggest. It might sound like, oh, so you get the money. No. All that was the intention, but the Norwegian pension fund is a pension fund mostly in its name. And the intention is that it's for your pension when you retire. Two things comes into this. I have said before that I don't think that they want us to retire. I think that by the time I'm in my 60s, retirement age will be 70 something, and you're not meant to retire. And this has to do with the aging population. People are not having enough children, getting enough children, giving birth to enough children. Okay, and the other reason is that they're spending it all, and the numbers don't add up. And they made a decision that they, as they said, we need to be on the right side of history, whatever the fuck that means. And this Zelensky, he went here and he shook hands with the royals, politicians, the prime minister, and it's all about this deal that they made that, okay, we'll just take money from the pension fund and give it to Ukraine. Yeah. It needs to be said that Norway has made a lot of money after Europe mostly started to at least buy less gas from Russia. So Norway has had an increase in its income because of the war, and also, of course, the Norwegian weapons industry has made quite a lot of money. And if you didn't know, Norway has a weapons industry. If you didn't know, yes, we do. So yeah, so that needs to be added to the equation, but there is no doubt that this will be a large portion of the pension fund, and it's only the beginning, the way I see it. Now, I can't remember. I keep saying 2035, so in 10 years, that's when we are seeing red numbers here in Norway. You'll need to double check me on that. It doesn't really matter so much. It's in a few years we will start seeing red numbers. So if it's 2035 or 2045, I can't remember, but that's not the point. If you know that your country is going to see red numbers, so that you'll be spending more money than the country is making, then it's not a good idea to start giving away and spending the money you have saved up. And that's what they're doing now. The reason is it is the right thing to do. We need to keep the war going in Ukraine. We need to keep the killing continuing in Ukraine. So that, yeah, because that's the right thing to do. It's, that, come on. I know I'm, what's the term, speaking to the choir here, because you guys, you understand this. But if you talk to people, it's like they've forgotten how to think. They've forgotten how to think. And the reasoning is that if we keep the war going in Ukraine, then Russia will not attack other countries. And I'm like, in which reality are you existing? If we look back at history, it's not that simple, of course. Russia could choose to diversify its attacks. There is this myth that they don't have enough resources to do that, but they could very well say that, okay, we'll make it a little bit more difficult for those Europeans. Russians are Europeans as well, but those Western people in the West, we can make it a little bit more difficult for them. We can attack Estonia, for instance. Increase the length of the front line, something like that. It has been done before. So, but anyway, there goes my pension fund. Now, I was maybe born cynical, and I always thought, I don't think I will trust these people concerning retirement pension. I don't think I will trust them. So I've always had at the back of my mind that there won't be any retirement. If I want to retire, I need to save up money and get those money away from the taxman, the taxman, um, if I can relocate to a country where it's actually possible to live without everything costing an insane amount of money, without the government taking your income in taxes. It's so I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that they're doing this, and you know, this is a very unpopular opinion, and I will be accused of being, oh, you're a fan of Putin. You're on Putin's side. Are you not? If you don't want to keep emptying the Norwegian pension fund, if you don't want to keep the war going, then you're a fan of Putin. You support what Putin that regime has done. And that people will say that. And I don't even know what to say to those people anymore. I don't think I can communicate with those people anymore. It's like they have stopped thinking. And actually, it's a well-known fact that governments will use fear, and they will manipulate the population. During COVID, it has been proven. The UK government hired consultants to do that. So it's not like it should shock anyone that people are not thinking anymore. Yeah. So when the mainstream journalists were reporting yesterday from Zelensky's visit to Norway, they were visibly smiling. Now, this is such a great thing. I don't think it's a great thing. And some people will say that, oh, you're so selfish. You want a pension while people are dying in Ukraine. How can you be so selfish? And again, I don't know what to say to those people. It's like, and also these politicians making these decisions, they have their special arrangements for their pension. They have special, they're not going to become poor. They're going to be okay. So it's not their money, their own money, that they are pouring into the war. No. It's funny how it's always like that. So you know what? I'm tired. I can't sleep. And I'm sorry about everything. If I'm a little bit incoherent, it's just because of that. I can't just lie down because of a headache. It's hell, but that's how it is. I'm here. So let's try to talk about this. But is that an expression, short fuse? Sometimes you have a short fuse, like when you don't have any patience with people. So if I see trolls here now, they will be gone. Shinobi says, why must we die for rich elites in power in Europe? Exactly. Blue Kachina says, time to make a Bjorn coin. What's that? Is that like Bitcoin? Joel is asking, do you think the war will spread to Norway soon? No, but I think that Norwegian soldiers will be sent to Ukraine soon. We're not they haven't decided upon that now, but it's being discussed, and you have the warmongers, typically on the left for some reason, politically, and they really, really, not all of them, but a lot of them, they really, really want to send soldiers to Ukraine. And these people, they're professional politicians, they have no real life experience. Um, so let's see here. Home planet, what does Putin want from Ukraine? I think everything. I think that the Russian regime do not want Ukraine to exist. That's what I think. Yeah. Jeanette says, Bjorn, everyone in my generation knows. I'm 54. I'm 2 years older than me then. Here in the USA, we will have no pensions. We set stuff aside for our old age. We also know our kids won't care for us. Well, the last part there, I think, well, maybe I'm lucky in that regard. Have you read anything by Aldous Huxley? Yes. More people should do that. So, yes, Jewel watching says, I've had friends tell me here in USA I'm pro-Russia because I want war to stop. Yeah. TP out in the middle of bush is where your pension will be, says Easy Rider. Yeah. Doesn't sound so bad, but of course the realities of living like that is, yeah, it's not all easy. The pension age in Norway is 67, but 62 if you work for the state. And they're talking about increasing it to 70. That's just only the start, I think. Yeah. No, it's disheartening to watch what's happening now, because it could have been so great, could have been awesome. It could have been awesome, but instead of more freedom, less work, and protection of nature, things like that, good things, we get war, we get a destruction of what we call in Norway the welfare state. And they won't admit that last part, of course, but that is what they're doing, because the numbers won't add up. We get more control, more surveillance. It's not looking good right now. I am sorry, but it's not looking good. And I think a lot of this boils down to the fact that we have an aging population in the USA, Canada, China, India, Europe, and something needs to change. If these states are to exist in the future. And they're not changing it the way I would have changed it, but then again, nobody's listening to me. So, yeah, Sudeep, yes, I think that Africa is the future. You only have to look at the numbers. Looks like Africa is the future. That's where the people will be. That's where the young people will be. That's where the new industries will rise. That's, you know, I might be wrong, but it certainly looks like that. Yeah, that's well said, Richie. Warfare, not welfare, is what they have chosen or been told what to do. Yeah. You know what? Misunderstood Animal says all those millions on weapons, but all the homeless people, these are evil. Yes. Um, from time to time, in countries like Norway, where there is a public healthcare system, we're supposed to take care of people when they get sick. Uh, we hear stories like there is a cure, but it's very expensive, so the state will not provide that cure for that disease. You know, um, Anthony, actually, India has a negative birth rate. It's India has an aging population. I was surprised when I saw the numbers, but yeah. Yeah, so basically they're saying that we can't afford medicine for sick people. In many cases, we can't afford it. But we can afford billions upon what's a trillion? I don't know how much a trillion is, but billions and billions upon billions on weapons to Ukraine. Now, I've been to Ukraine, it's a big country, but eventually it will be a big crater and it will be all destroyed. I mean, but there is no limit. And it took them only days to decide, not days, well, a day to decide that, well, we're going to give this huge amount, mind-boggling amount of money to Ukraine. Um, so that was not difficult. They did find that money. We saw the same during COVID. I keep beating that drum. I'll never stop. And they bought Billy Boy's cough medicine, and nobody was talking about the cost of that. No. Um, so apparently, some things are okay spending money on, like wars, like untested mRNA, said it, technology. Um, yeah. Oh, hi there, KP Heathen. Good to see you. Um, so I did see a question up here. Maybe I forgot it. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the question was about will they actually empty the pension fund? Uh, and they won't empty it with like they just take all of that money and give it to Ukraine, or rather, through weapons and so on. But that that way of thinking, it certainly is not good for preserving the pension fund. And it will be gone in the future. That's what it looks like. So, you know, and it will be gone sooner if they start grabbing that money as they are doing now. So, Um, yeah, Jules watching is mentioning Burisma and the Biden family. Yeah, they're crooks, of course. The Biden family they're corrupt. I mean, how can people not see that? It's wow, Nero. Thank you so much for the donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Um, yeah. No, I think that the Biden family and Burisma and Ukraine, there's a lot there, and it needs to be said that I don't think that we should just jump on board with every conspiracy theory, but certainly it was a good thing for the Biden family that the war started. Can we just say that? You know? Yeah. Or maybe actually it was not a good thing. Maybe they would have wanted it to keep going. Um, I don't know. I don't know. But corruption, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Wolf for audiences, wars take lives and make money. Yes. Um, yeah. And I have to say this. I'm very sorry that people are struggling because it seems hopeless. And and I wish I could do something, and I wish I could make this better. But and this is going to sound very depressive, and you should probably not listen anymore if you are in a depressive mood. Um, it's getting more and more difficult day by day to find a reason to continue. A lot of people are that's the feeling that a lot of people are having. And when you add to that you're probably never going to be able to retire. And that was kind of the deal, right? You work, you pay taxes, you get some kind of you're taken taken care of to some extent in your old age. Um, and that I think more and more people are realizing that that's not going to happen. Sharp Canine says, "Live in the present." What if the present is just pain and a struggle? You know. So I think it's important to find a reason, to find something that matters, to find a reason for getting up in the morning. Yeah. Okay. So also, I think it's important to find community. Wolf of Odin, I am sorry to hear that. Yeah, hard work will break you. Um, and it can be physical work or sitting by a desk. Both can break you. So having a community is extremely important, but what we are seeing now is that people isolate themselves more and more. They isolate themselves, and they isolate themselves because it's difficult to find people, and it's difficult to get people out of that matrix. And that matrix where people are just sitting there watching something, consuming some kind of entertainment or some kind of information, it's very difficult to get people out of that. Um, and I think that it's extremely important that we now, before it's too late, that we create communities. That we get together. And the main point, the most important thing of having a community is that when you feel like you can't go on, when you feel like, for some reason you just can't keep going, the people around you will put you up on your feet, stand you up on your feet, and tell you that, you matter, and we need you, and we'll have some fun today, you know? But we live in a very, very serious and lethal, dangerous pandemic. It's the real pandemic. And I use the word pandemic here because that's what it is. And it's the loneliness pandemic. And ironically, they made that worse during COVID, which should never be forgiven. So yeah, I don't know if this message is interesting at all, but I find it important. So that's why I'm saying it. Dragging demons out. How does one reply to comments here? Well, I can see your comment there now. Yeah. Never forget what they took. Metal movies and brewskis. Never forget what they took. And I have come to the conclusion that what makes people end their lives is that they have nobody. They are alone. And then it becomes very difficult to see a reason to keep going. And just to get back to the topic here, when people retire, some people become very lonely because they had all their social interaction at their workplace. And in that regard, maybe it's a good thing that they just spend our pension fund here in Norway and on a war in a different country, and that we won't ever be able to retire. But we can't work ourselves to death. Well, we can. People have been doing that for in the past. So maybe that's what they want us to do again. But it's not how it should be. Okay. So yeah. Um, no, I'm not going to announce that hike. I got quite a few. I got some messages from people who would be coming for very different reasons than the hike, so it wasn't so nice. So um, yeah. Uh, okay. A bit dark there, but got a bit dark. Sorry about that. Um, can we add that, especially for men, it is difficult now because we are being told that we don't matter. Was that too much to say that? Is that too much? Nobody's saying that. Oh, you're a man. Because you're a man, you don't matter. But you're not. I mean, men suffer in silence because they are not being listened to. And I've said this before, and I made a video about that on the main channel. And the comments were so striking, and a lot of people said exactly the same. They had tried to reach out, they had tried to talk about things like depression, anxiety, but nobody's interested in listening. It's like when the politically correct thing to say is that, oh, men don't talk about their feelings. They should talk about their feelings. And it's because they don't talk about their feelings that they are much more frequently committing suicide than women. No, it's not. I mean, it's such a condescending thing to say. Men are not listened to. As a general rule, men are not listened to. So they learn that nobody listens, nobody cares. So why should I talk to anyone? Now we add to this war in Europe. We add to this an emptying of the reserves, the financial reserves of the country that you are living in. This is not only happening in Norway, by the way. So you're supposed to just be a slave. You're supposed to work until you drop and not complain. Do not complain. So it's not looking so good. And I get, and again, I'm trying to say here that there is an alternative, and that's local communities getting together with people who actually care about you, and they will care about you because they know that you care about them, that you help each other. B. Henrik says, cry about the little stuff and nobody will care when the big stuff actually happens. I can assure you, B. Hendricks, that the men I have spoken to They're not crying. They're not crying about, and if they are crying, it's not about little stuff. It's about massive, serious, heartbreaking stuff. And some of the messages I have been sent, I won't even tell you because it's just horrible. It's just horrible. So let's see here. Listening to these chats makes me realize how fortunate I am. Craig, okay. Sharp Canines is asking, do you mean suicidal people write to you? Yeah, it has happened. But more often, people who have gotten through that, who were in a very dark place and almost committed suicide, and they've told me their stories. So, yeah. And, life is great. The world is a beautiful place, but it can also be a very dark place. And yeah. Let's see here. Beth says men who hide their feelings end up with ulcers, heart attacks, all the bad stuff. They often suffer alone unnecessarily. Yes, but the story, the main story, the one thing that men have told me, the most common thing is that I tried to share my quote. I tried to share my worries and my problems, but I was told that it doesn't really matter so much compared to typically a wife's problems, partner's problems, and her feelings. So it becomes like an exchange. You say, for instance, you know what, I'm struggling, I'm in pain, and I fear that I will lose my job, something like that. And she will say, but you know what, I have these problems here, and they are more important than your problems because you're a man. That is the story. That is what men are telling me. Yeah, but that I mean, how I received, no, I don't know how many comments like that. It's just that is the story that men are telling me. Okay. Yeah, we have kind of changed topic a little bit now, but I think that's okay. Men can be sensitive too, says Audrey. Yes, men are. I think men are equally sensitive as women. We're just different, but we're equally sensitive. Yeah, of course, men cry. Of course, I cry if I want to. I will cry. I think the thing with that, men should not cry. It's a thing. It's a strange thing brought on by that came with the industrialization of our Western's of our civilization, and I I don't care about that. Rodley 11 says, "Did Norway just buy a war?" Yes, it seems so. uh, yeah, let's see here. Thank you, Craig, for saying that. Let's see. Yeah, I think feminism. We need to clarify first of all what feminism is now. Um, because if you say that I don't like feminism, people will accuse you of things like, oh, they will say things like, oh, do you not want equal rights for women? And then you say, of course I want that, and then they will reply, well, that's feminism. But I think that's a stupid thing to say. Um, let's just all agree that, hopefully, we all agree that women should have equal rights as men. Um, so, yeah, that being said, the modern form of feminism is something different. And I do not support the modern form of feminism because it's harmful to women and it's harmful to men. And I think, yes, that is. It's actually a perfect example with men suffering, and then they tell about their problems and they talk about their problems to a girlfriend, wife, partner, and she will say, okay, I have listened to you, but did you know that I have problems too, and they matter more because I'm a woman? And you're not supposed to talk so much about your problems because you're a man, and the emotions you had and the feelings you told me about now, they are the wrong feelings and the wrong emotions. So that's a bit of feminism right there. Yeah. And you know what? When you talk about your problems, and I learned this it's as a therapist. I worked as a therapist, and this is the first thing you need to learn if you want to help people. Um, when they come to you and they talk about their problems, you're not supposed to talk to then go on about your problems. You're supposed to give them time. You're supposed to listen, and it's not about you. So if someone comes to me, and which has happened many times, and they say that they suffer from depression, I listen and I try to help, even if I'm having a horrible day, because it's not about me. Okay. Um, Thank you, Azteca. The housing market in the US has made it impossible for most to buy or bought raw land in the countryside, and I think de-urbanization is what we need. Yeah. Um, Marilyn, I can assure you that this is very common. very common. Um, Craig, thank you so much for your donation. That's very kind of you. Very kind. Um, yeah. Yeah. That this thing, people, boys should not cry. I see that attitude, and I think I've said it before that the strongest, toughest men I have known have also been quite sensitive. And I think that's just how it is. And I think that that guy who never shows any emotion, who comes across as, oh, I'm this tough guy, it's just a facade. And when he's put under enough pressure, he will break because that's not who he is. It's just a facade, it's a mask that he's wearing. Um, yeah. Um, yes, it's a mask and a time bomb. Metal moves and brewskis, yes. Uh, and I see also, of course, a, a kind of this kind of a rise of these old-fashioned, stupid attitudes towards masculinity, and you see it's on the internet. It's this has risen on the internet because it can, because that's where people who, typically these are people who have very little life experience, and we have, and I read about this the other day, we have three young men here in Norway. They have a podcast or something, and they're all about this Andrew Tate like nonsense, and they just spew out all these attitudes towards women, degrading attitudes towards women, and how being a man is about being tough and all of that, and you know, and it's always so stupid when I hear that men are so tough and women are not. Women give birth, and I think if you, I have witnessed two births, my kids, um, and when you've been witnessing that, and then you're not going to say that, oh, men are the toughest of the genders after that. So you can only say that if you lack life experience, and these kids, they're only boys, they're not men, and they will say that because they can, because they lack the life experience. um Now, Arcos Business Systems, thank you so much for the donation. That's let's celebrate the first super on the live stream. Oh, thank you there. Um, uh, let's see here. Yeah, of course, Andrew Tate is the extreme because he says things that are so mind-bogglingly stupid. And the latest, I think, is that everything is gay and all of that. But um, we have a lot of other of these boys, um, and I don't like them. I'll tell you why I don't like them. because many of them are around the age, well, bit older maybe, my daughter's age, and I would chase them with a with something big and heavy away from my property, um, because it's disgusting the attitudes they have towards women and towards men as well. Actually, um, it's disrespectful, and they sit there in their comfy little studios, and they act like they know how the world works, and they don't. uh, let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. Metal Movies and Brewski says those dudes just don't understand women. Yeah. GB says there are people here who care. How can we help? Um, well, I think you can use this chat if you want to reach out to someone directly. You can use this at uh, thing, and communicate in the chat while we are having a live stream here. Maybe you can then reach out, and continue that contact or something. I also have my Patreon, of course, which is much more personal and close. And I am looking at options for meetups. I'm looking at options there. I'm looking at options for building a community, or maybe many communities, like real life meeting up. Maybe, I mean, getting together. I just haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet. So, I mean, I live in Norway, so there's a bit of problem here. Yeah, I know Discord and all of that, but I it's a bit too much work, I think, to do that as well. And as I am still hanging on by my fingernails onto having some kind of income from YouTube, I don't want to direct traffic away from my channels here on YouTube too much, if you get my meaning. Yeah. I don't know. Jeffrey, thank you so much for the donation there. Thank you so much. Now, concerning anything, well, Discord or whatever, something like that, the problem is that people come there, and some people are abusive to others, some people are trying to sell stuff, and there will be spam, and there will be all of that. If everyone was behaving, then it wouldn't be a problem. but you only need a little minority of people who can't behave for it to be a headache, another headache. Yeah, the cult of Bjorn. Yeah, I hear there is a lot of money in these cults, so maybe that's a plan. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think there are enough cults out there. A paid online group. Yes, I do have that. That's Patreon. That's Patreon. Carola says I just removed Discord because it was too much. Yeah. Well, I have Patreon, so I mean there is a paywall. I think I chose the lowest amount possible there. I think it's $2 per month, and you know, but it's so people can go to my Patreon and sign up there, and yeah, it's more personal. Okay. So, let's see here. How are we doing? Well, thank you, Craig. Yeah, it was the spring equinox yesterday, I think. Yeah. Eric says he needs the cash. I hope I'm not coming across as someone who's doing this for the money. When it comes to Patreon and it being a paywall, I have found that is the only way to avoid people coming there just to make life more difficult for the other people there. So, yeah. So, okay. Yes. And also, Eric, I'm not talking to you now, but as general thing, I think it's not okay when people try to shame those of us who spend a lot of time being here, doing live stream, making videos, editing videos, filming videos. Shame those people for trying to make money. I think that is not okay. It's like using these ad blockers. That's the best way to make your favorite YouTuber quit being a YouTuber, you know, because if you use that, then the ad revenue is zero from your view. So you can say what you like about YouTube, but we are on YouTube, and if there is no money, it becomes very difficult to keep going. And also, there are people who think that, oh, you make millions, you have a big channel there, you make millions on YouTube. That would have been nice. Yeah. So I think people would be shocked if I share the numbers. It's much less than people think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I am quite tired now, so I hope I'll be able to get some sleep. That's the plan. And I want to thank you for coming here. The plan is to be back doing a live stream on Monday, but I will have a video up on the main channel tomorrow. No. Well, Saturday around 7:15 Norwegian time. So US East Coast, that's 1:15 in the afternoon. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk soon, and have a nice weekend and all of that. Okay. Bye-bye.